So we've got a wall of windows here, and we want to bring that view back. What do we do on site? Well, we're going to use 3 flash frames. I had to count on my fingers. We're going to use 3 flash frames and an ambient, and we're going to blend them together to create a perfectly natural, clean, crisp scene. So what we have here is our ambient shot, and you can see the windows are completely blown out. Like there is nothing out here. That is white. That is all white. That's blown to bits. So what we have to do is we have to use flash. So I've gone ahead and taken a flash exposure of this room, and I went from, let's see, 1/15, or 1/15th I should say, to 1/160th of a second. So I brought that shutter speed down all the way to almost pretty much the max on my A6000. I think the max might be 200, but I get like these weird bars up top where when you go to 200 it just gets like a weird bar. That's basically the flash sync speed maxing out. So basically we're at f7.1, pretty much standard for what I do. 14 millimeters. I love to be at 14 millimeters for my Sony 10-18. I feel like it has probably the least amount of distortion when you're at 14 millimeters, but that doesn't really matter since we enable profile corrections. But I like the way it looks. It's not too wide. It's not too opposite of wide. Close. And we're at ISO 320. So not a perfect view, but it's perfect for me, I guess. I like it. I like it a lot. So we have information out there. That's all we needed. And it's not like there's a freaking beach out there. That's just nonsense. This is Maricopa. There's nothing out here. So let's go ahead and adjust the exposure of this. Now I've been doing a lot of this lately where I will create a virtual copy of my base layer and I will boost the original so my ceiling is a little bit brighter, and I will bring down the exposure of my virtual copy to the exposure that I really want for my blend. So basically I'm just using this for the ceiling and any other areas that I feel like will need a little bit of extra light. So a little trick there that I've kind of been using. Side to side, typical stuff. You can see we got some major reflections in this window, but we don't have it in this, so we're going to use this in darken mode as well as normal mode, like we do for most of our edits. So this needs to be adjusted in terms of exposure. I feel like it's a little bit bright. There we go. Move on to the next one, the left side lighting the right side. I don't think if I explained this one, but the right side, it's flashing the right side, lighting the left side, and it does it pretty well. I love the way the shadows are in this frame, and I love the way the highlights are in this frame. So basically when we go blend these two, there should be 0 flash overlap, and I'm looking right here seeing if there's any flash overlap, and there's not. So what we can do is just adjust that exposure. It's not too crazy. This one's a little bit too bright. I shot this way too slow, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring that down almost to stop. Wow, I completely botched that. But anyway, let's go ahead and select all of these layers, and we're gonna go ahead and edit in open as layers in Photoshop, and that should open Photoshop pretty quickly. On my computer it's a little bit slower since I am recording, but what we're going to do is we're going to blend these. We're going to blend these manually, no actions today. So we're going to do that, and it's going to come out looking pretty snazzy. Alright, let's go ahead and select all the layers. Now you can go ahead and hold down Command and just click all the layers if you want, but what I do is I click the top layer or the bottom layer, it doesn't really matter. Hold down Shift and select the end of your layer stack, and that will select all the layers. Go to Layer right up here and go to Range and Reverse, and now our layers are in perfect order. So let's go ahead and click on these side-to-side layers. I'm going to turn these ones off. So we're only working with side-to-side right now. Let's go ahead and add a layer mask. Not a black layer mask. There we go. And we're going to go ahead and hit G on the keyboard. That'll bring up the gradient. And we're going to go black and white. Click OK. And we want to paint black on the area where our flash stand is, or in this case, where I am. So let's go ahead and do that. And I usually start from right at the edge of the image, hold down Shift to draw a perfectly straight line, and then go to the other end of the image. Now that's looking really good. Now we're going to hit B on the keyboard. And our flow is at 15%, mode normal, and our brush size, wow, I nailed that perfectly, 2800. Perfect. Doesn't really matter what brush size you are, just a big brush. And we're going to paint white, since I like to work from the right to the left most of the time. That just paints myself out. Same thing for this side. Perfect. And now we're going to go ahead and tackle this nonsense here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our darker base layer, put a black layer mask over that by holding down Alt and left clicking. So that's Alt, left click. That creates a black mask. Change the blend mode to darken. And we're going to paint black right here. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to paint some black over here, paint some over here. Not just looking at the windows, I'm looking at everything that's pretty much too bright. This looks weird. Okay, there we go. Darken mode can be seriously useful for handling glare, reflections, and overly bright areas, such as your ceiling or floor in this case. So now what we can do is go to our next bright layer, or our base layer, which is brighter than our previous layer, and we're going to use that for the ceiling and some of this area right here. So let's go ahead and do that. Just going to brush, do some clicks, just like so, just right there. There we go. It's a little bit too bright. I want a little bit more color in here and in here. It's a woo! No. Brush. Where's the brush? Sorry. I was in crop mode. There we go. So that's looking pretty good. That's looking real good. Now we just need some ambient light. So let's go ahead and black layer mask. Wow. Wow. Did I have a stroke right there? Wow. Anyway, black layer mask. Change the blend mode. Luminosity. There we go. And we're just gonna paint the areas that we want. So I'm gonna go. Wow, I can't talk today. I'm gonna change my flow to 5% and just paint over the areas that we want, just like so. That's looking a bit too bright. That's looking good. That's looking better already. It looks good. So you can see the difference that made. I'm gonna get rid of some over here. And that is pretty much it for this image. I'm gonna flatten that. Command S to save. Control S if you're on Windows. And I can adjust the exposure if I want, if I think it's a little bit too bright. And we're gonna go all the way down here. And we're gonna put a little vignette on it. Just a little one. Just bring the eye in. And that's pretty much it. If you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, just let me know. And roll the before and after.